It's funny the way that you just phrased it, because something just came to me when you said working for other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an entrepreneur, but at the end of the day, I'm still working for other people.
Yeah.
Every single client, they're still my boss,
Right.
right? They're still, I can't even explain it to you, but
All right. So Donna, welcome to Inside the Creator Studio.
it's really nice to be here.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming down. So tell us a little bit about the journey that led to starting the Donna Drake Show.
Well, it's interesting because I'm sitting here and I'm noticing your glass block, really nice decor, and over to my right is this bookcase. But I'm having memories of one of my first jobs in the industry, which was at Technosonic Studios in St. Louis, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
That building no longer exists. It's now the Galleria Mall. But at Technosonic Studios, we had this glass block wall, and we had this exotic saltwater fish tank.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love it because I would sit there like during lunch, I'd have to sit at the front desk. But my real gig there was as a music librarian, picking out music and sound effects for radio and television commercials.
Oh, wow.
It was called needle drop music because it was an actual like record. It was vinyl, and every time the needle dropped, it would play like another song of like Muzak, right? That background music stuff, you know. But we had Hanna-Barbera's like crunch sounds and sound effects, and it was lovely. I loved that job. It was really my first job in the industry. I was working at a full service production company. We did film when it was like shooting on 35 millimeter. It was the largest production facility in the Midwest. So it's where I grew up, St. Louis, Missouri. And so having a television show now, if you ask me where it probably began at birth. You know, like I can't remember a time when I've never not been me, but it was probably around second grade and I was being bullied. And I looked at the other kids. I was like, someday you're going to wish you were nicer to me because I'm going to grow up. I'm going to be so famous. Now it's really not about being famous. It's not about the fame. It's about the fact that I'm passionate about what I do. I feel so lucky, and it's such a good journey for me to be able to be a grown up and get to do the things that I love to do.
Yeah.
And I want that for everybody. I feel like every child, if you ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? It should just be like, ding, automatic. It just should happen.
Yeah.
Because there's really no reason that everyone can't live up to that potential.
We'd have a lot of astronauts.
It'd be lovely, though. Why not? Who says there can't be a billion? I live in the land of possibility, and I live in the land of serendipity, and magical things happen to me all the time. And who knows? Because, hey, right? It's the great frontier, space.
Yeah.
It's the great frontier. You know,
No, for sure. I
my
can relate.
son's studying aerospace, actually.
Oh, that's awesome. See, you know what? Like somebody that always wanted to become an astronaut and suddenly figured out maybe I'll just go for the science side, you know? And it's funny because I have two twin 5-year-old boys, and one of my sons, he's just always like, can I be this when I grow up? Can I be this when I grow up? And half the time it's like, can I be an inanimate object when I grow up? It's like, yeah, dude, like
Go for it.
that's totally
Absolutely.
cool. Like, he's like, can I be my brother when I grow up?
Absolutely.
I'm like, sure. Like that, I've gotten to the point where I'm not saying no, you can't anymore,
Love
because
that.
then it's like,
You're a good dad.
yeah, it's
You're
just
a
gotten
good
to the
dad.
point where it's also the argument that ensues, like when you tell them,
Yeah,
like,
like,
no,
why
you can't
not?
do that.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I want to do this. I want to be a dinosaur. And it's like, all right, man. Like, and it just makes me think back to Step Brothers, where like the dad's like, I always wanted to be a T-Rex. Yeah.
Speaking of T-Rexes, I was at 90s Con the other day featuring it. We were up in Hartford, Connecticut, and literally there's like this T-Rex going by. And at the time, I was interviewing an actor, Matthew Lawrence, because the Lawrence brothers. There's like,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
So there's Joey Lawrence and Andrew Lawrence and Matthew Lawrence. So I'm talking to Matthew Lawrence, and I'm like, did you just see the T-Rex? And I said, are you a dinosaur fan? And he goes, and we went all the way through it, like Land Before Time, and you know.
Land Before Time.
yeah.
That was a good one.
Yes. So
That's a classic.
so my TV show, I usually answer this way. I usually say that December 28th of 2008, while I was sleeping, the television show was divinely gifted to me, which is truthful. And I sold my house, I sold everything I own, and I just went out on this mission because at the time in 2008, the economy wasn't so great. People were, home equity lines of credit were closing. It was just like kind of messy.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I had a business meeting down in Philadelphia. So there's like a backstory to the backstory. I had a business meeting. I was doing marketing for the Melting Pot restaurants in Philly. And there was a guy there. His name was Bernie. He was so nice. He's like, oh, let me show you around this television station. Let me show you where Mike Douglas did his show. And let me show you this or that. And I had no idea like where I was going or where this conversation was going. And at the time they wanted to do a show that was going to be like very positive. I was like, oh, I'd love to host that show. And then there was a major layoff at that CBS station. And so on my drive home, the next time I went to go see Philadelphia at the Melting Pot, I got in my car, and on that drive home, I started thinking. That's where the seed was really planted, and then the dream happened. But that's sometimes too long of a story, so I'll just be like, December 28th, the show was divinely gifted. But I did. I woke up. I had a notebook, piece of paper. I wrote down everything I could remember. I saw the correspondence. I saw the lights. I saw the people, and it took me a while to actually get the manifestation to be a reality from that original vision. Like my first set was literally me, my friend Fran Capo, sitting in front of a monitor that had like a bumper sticker logo on it, right? You're talking about April 9th of 2009 is when we went on the air the first time, and I bought time on CBS. So how did I get my TV show? That's really what it was. It was it was me telling stories about the nonprofits that mattered to me. It was me wanting to showcase business owners, because I felt like we all needed hope back then. And so when I talked to a business owner, the mission of my show is exactly the same as it was for the last 17 years of my life. When I even say that, it seems like it's been so long, but the mission's the same. When I sit down and I talk to somebody, I want to shine a light on you so that other people at home can have hope and be like, well, if he can do it, I can do it, right? Or they find out the best services to make their life better. And that's the purpose of it. The celebrities are great, but I don't interview them and be like, oh, you're a celebrity, yada, yada. It's like, no, I went to Gloria Gaynor's home and we talked about literacy. See, so the whole entire purpose of my show is to just make someone's life and someone's journey more extraordinary for them, right? And for the people around them, to build community, right? So that's it. That's how I got the show. And it was really an outgrowth of me as a little girl, because I grew up singing in a patriotic singing group. We would sing songs for children that were, had cerebral palsy, or maybe they were blind. We sang for veterans. And so that's where the part of the nonprofit came into being. So it was like celebrities, because I needed the eyeballs. It was businesses, because I had to monetize doing stories on the nonprofits. So I take a portion of that money from the businesses and I pay for the editing, the recording, the airtime, everything. And then I take a portion of that and I try to scholarship and do stories on nonprofits, because they really can't afford it. So, but now you can ask a question, because I'm sorry, because I was like, blah, 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 blah. No, I hate that. I hate when I'm hosting and I'm trying to get a word in edgewise and I can't. But I'm also happy that the guest talks, because there's nothing worse than a guest that doesn't talk. And they're just
100%.
like this.
I have not had a great number of guests, so I haven't gotten the
no
averages, but I have gotten a few people where it's just like, and for me, again, I'm the guy behind the camera most of the time. So for me, being the person in front of the camera and like, hey, can you help me out a little bit? Can you like,
I'm dying here.
What was your background? Well, I picked up a camera and I started photography. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's great. So it's good to have like more of a story, because then, I like to practice active listening, and then it gives me a little bit more to kind of like see, and I'm like, okay. And that kind of fed into one of my next questions, was going to say like the pivotal moment, but you said December 28th, 2008.
Yeah.
And it's good to see like that you kept that thought for such a long time before it manifested, because a lot of business owners will have that thought, and then 6 months later, it's a different thought. And then 6 months after that, it's a different thought. And then 6 months after that, it's a different thought. And, they can't just keep the vision and just plan it out and focus on that one thing and making that happen. And I think that's also why a lot of people kind of get stuck working for other people, because they might have a dream one day to do something, but they just can't focus on that one thing enough. So they're just like, all right, I'm just going to go and work for somebody else. But there's so many more entrepreneurs out there than what is actually out there, because it's also the fear, losing that steady income to an extent, like.
Oh, and health insurance. There have been times in my life I had no health insurance. Yeah. It's an interesting thing, but it's funny the way that you just phrased it, because something just came to me when you said working for other people, right? I'm an entrepreneur, but at the end of the day, I'm still working for other people.
Yeah.
every single client, they're still my boss.
Right.
Right? They're still, I can't even explain it to you, but yes, I have certain freedoms, especially being a parent and being able to be there at my children's events. That mattered a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm an empty nester now. My son Matthew's studying aerospace at University of Michigan. But like when Andrew was little, Elise was little, Matthew was little, I didn't miss a thing. I didn't have to miss a thing because by being an entrepreneur, it allowed me to adjust my schedule. And for me, that was the greatest payday ever.
Yeah.
Right? I might not have the most money in the bank, but I have the wealthiest journey. Okay. And then, like I said, the people that trust their business to my hands to market them, they matter to me. I take that job so seriously. So every single person, I've got to make sure that the money that they invest with my show brings them a huge return on their investment. So much so that if somebody comes to me and they say, "Oh, I want to come on your show," and I determine that it's not a good fit for them, or that maybe they're not at the level where the increased business is going to be something that they can be sustainable at, like delivering, because Harley Davidson had that problem. Harley Davidson marketed a whole bunch, but they couldn't make the bikes fast enough. They almost went bankrupt.
Right.
So I actually kind of guide the people before I let them on the show. I vet them. So I interview about 28 guests each month, but it's kind of like a dialogue between, okay, this is what it costs. This is what your deliverables are. Let me know what your return on your investment has to be. I never want someone to come on my show and be like, "Oh, that was a waste of my time. Oh, that was a waste of money. Oh, it didn't work. It was awful." I can't handle that. So I guess I do work for other people still, right? It's
Well,
just
you
a
work for other people,
different thing. But I have my own
you
thing.
get to choose.
Yeah, I do.
You know, and that's the entrepreneur kind of journey, is that like you don't have to work for people that you don't want to work
That is
for.
true. We have a
you
no
know?
a-hole and no bozo policy.
Exactly.
Okay. It's strict. And I learned that through Ted Sarandos from Netflix. He said to me one time, well, he says, "This is my golden rule." And I looked at him and I was like, I love that. I'm taking that. I'm taking it.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I mean, that's ultimately like I've had a number of different clients where like in the beginning you suffer them. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
You need the
it's a
paycheck. You need
right,
the money
exactly.
coming in. Like
The rent's due.
But then once you start growing and you have other clients coming in, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to do a price increase only to just get rid of these clients that I don't want to work with anymore. That, you know what? There's other people out there. By all means, have fun.
I have haters now. Like, and I'm okay about it. Like I wasn't in the beginning. But I noticed that part of the success or the challenge or whatever is like, there will be people that do not like you. And that I'm like, okay, because I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But for the people that I am their cup of tea, wow, I'm like their biggest cheerleader. I am a professional cheerleader for brands, people, and causes. And I love it. I love what I do. Right. And there are billions of people out there. So I'm like, you want to work with me? Great. I want to work with you. Great. It's like you're dating them. It's like it's a match. Right. And when there's not a match, or when that relationship with somebody has like served its purpose, I'll be like, okay, it makes me sad, but it doesn't make me feel bad about myself anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, it used to bother me. I used to take somebody's rejection of working with me personally. I was like, what do you mean you don't want to work with me? Oh, what do you mean you don't like me anymore? Oh, what do you mean you're not inviting me to that gala? And I'm not your plus one anymore. Whatever. Or like, oh, I hate her. Or after everything I've done for her, I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, what have you done for me lately? Right?
Yeah.
So I have a different mindset now.
Yeah.
I really still feel connected to the universe, and I really still take my cues from that. You know, very spiritual. Am I perfect? No, I sin all the time. It's not about that. It's just about having a communication and a dialogue to know that there's energy, and people's energy matter. Sorry, I'm so unprofessional. I just hit your mic. People's energies matter, and I like things to be peaceful. I do my best, but like I said, if I'm not your cup of tea, okay.
Yeah.
There's other cups of tea, right? So I'm like, I'll be me. And if we can work together, great. And if we can come back around, like sometimes also I'll fight with somebody or whatever. And then I'm Italian. I have an Italian background. I'm like, all right, well, let's just go eat and we'll make up, right? So
100%.
you find your way.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, have you figured out kind of like a daily ritual that works for you? That's like I need, before every show, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Because I know a lot of people, especially in the TV and like film industry, not necessarily superstitious, but it's just like I have my routine, and I need to accomplish that in order to be at my best for that show.
I'm a different person on show days.
Yeah.
And Ingrid Dodd pointed it out. She's like, whoa. She's like, there's Donna, then there's Donna Drake, and then there's Donna Drake. And I'm like, explain that to me. She goes, on show days, Don, you are like, because I'm responsible for every single person that passed through the threshold. I'm all the entire crew, all the guests, all the people in the front of the house, the back of the house. So like on show days, boy, oh boy, I am like every 15 minutes. It's very regimented, right? And if I go out into our green room and I see anybody working for me that's like maybe got like a stocking cap on and they're like lounging down like this or whatever, I'll be like, I'll just send them home. I'll be like, okay, no. Right.
Not today.
So yeah, so that version of me is interesting because there is a routine. I get into hair and makeup with Jacqueline Aceta at 7:30. By 8:30, my mic's on. You know, I'll be like, okay, guys, how are we doing? What, you know, let's give it. I need to know the time. Okay, it's 10 minutes in. Blah 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 blah. I am so particular about every single person's guest experience. You know, they greet it. They get to have a duck donut from Veronica from Duck Donuts.
Nice.
She's our green room sponsor. So there are routines of ways I like things to flow. And, you know, and they'll know because when I'm in that seat, you know, it's like I'm locked in.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, sorry. It's like, I did it again. It's like a roller coaster ride where you're just, you're in it, but like everybody's in it,
Right.
you know? We have a great time.
That's awesome.
I have the best staff. I have the best team. It's like, oh, we're the best. We're the best. We're the best. But you know it. Like when you're in it, you know it. It's like a great race car driver with like the pit crew.
Yeah.
Like you just know it. You turn around those bins and then at the end of the day, you're like, yeah.
Like there's trust and it's a team effort as opposed to like, I'm the person in front of the camera. Everybody needs to do my thing, like follow my lead. But it's like, it's good to be a leader where if you weren't paying attention to those little things, maybe everybody else wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where like the person at the top, you know, I want these things to be done because that's the best experience for every person that's spending money and time and effort and, you know, time out of their business in order to be on talk about their business and marketing. You know, like for a lot of people, it's difficult for them, especially to be on camera and to talk with a microphone and, you know, and it's not something that everybody does on a daily basis, you know, so it's kind of one of those things where you want to hone in on that time that somebody is there and really cater to them as much as you can to make it as easy as possible so they can get their message out as accurately as possible. And they, like you said, like you don't want them to regret and be like, oh, I should have done this, or I didn't do this well, or I should have said that, you know.
I want to hold them like right in my hand from the moment that they come through and they greet Jenna and Bella. Like I all of us know we treat those guests and clients like they're in our home. Like that studio turns into our home, right? And we want them to have the best, you know, experience. We want to lift them up. We want to support them through the whole journey so that it's the best hour of their life that they've ever had. You know, we want to facilitate networking experiences so that they can, you know, get a return on their investment right from the green room. We love that when that happens. It's magical. And we take that seriously. It's really important. You know, and you had said like from the top down leadership, but I think my leadership style, I say, is more like a wagon wheel. So like maybe the show is actually at the center of the org chart and we're all just spokes. Like this, I kid you not, like I work for the show. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not the show. It has my name now. It used to be called Live It Up, but then somebody changed it to the Donna Drake Show. I said, okay, let's go with it. It took me a while to get used to it. I'm okay with it now. But yeah, so that's our org chart. Our org chart is like a wagon wheel where we're just all spokes.
Nice.
Thanks. That
And
works.
and that's as a person who has been a spoke before, you know, like you can see when there's a functional wagon wheel and a very dysfunctional wagon wheel.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm a spoke.
It's definitely like I in my life, most of the bosses that I've ever had have been examples of who I don't want to be.
Oh, yeah.
And so as
we've
opposed
been
to
there.
like having many mentors or a person that I could really look up to and be like, that's a person I can learn a lot from. So now what I try to do is be that person that other people can learn a lot from and be more patient and be more communicative with a lot of the people that work with me and for me, you know, like just, hey, is there anything I could do to support you? Giving them little bits of feedback. Hey, you did a great job. If we could just fix this, that, and the other thing on the next one, like just something to keep in mind, you know, like it doesn't need to be perfect every single time, but for me in my business, I do the real estate media. So I've always wanted it to be a quality over quantity. Like there's 20,000 real estate agents on Long Island. I don't want to work with all of them. I want to work with the select number of them that really care about their marketing and see themselves as a brand, because ultimately every single real estate agent is an independent contractor. They might work for a company or have like that company's email address, but at the end of the day, it's very much like you get out of it what you put into an industry. And some real estate agents just don't put anything into it. And then they complain about, oh, real estate sucks. It's this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, well, did you spend any money on marketing? Did you do any cold calling? Did you do anything for your recent listings? Like, do you have any testimonials that you can share? Or are you doing anything on social media? So like, I want those agents that really care and really want to take it to that next level. And that's where I try to set myself apart from some of the other companies that, their goal is to work with as many people as possible. And that's fine. There's different business models for everybody. And, if that's your cup of tea, again, go for it. Yeah.
Go for
it. This is what I do. This is the attention that I give to my clients. And when I talk to my clients, I try to pitch myself as like, I'm your marketing partner. I'm not just a guy that goes out, stands in corners, takes pictures of rooms. Like, I want to know like what your goals are,
Right.
like where do you see this property? Is this about the land? Is this a rental? Is this a sale? Is it oceanfront? Do we need to capture it from different angles? Like sometimes people just give me an address and be like, I need 20 photos. And it's like, okay,
What's
well,
the
this house
story?
is like 2
Right.
blocks from the beach. I'm like, do you want drone photos to like show the water? And they're like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Like, would it be able to see it? I'm like, yeah, I can see the ocean and the sound from halfway in the island, so it's kind of one of those things where like you always want to show those types of things, but not everybody is thinking that way. So that's where it's not even trying to like upsell them. It's really like, I think you should do this because that's going to do the best for this particular listing. Or sometimes it's in the middle of the woods, or it has a monstrosity next to it, and it'd be like, maybe the drone won't be the best because you don't want to be the
They need a
second
roof
best
job
house in the photo.
That house has like dilapidated guitars in the back and cars, and it's a mess. I wanted to share with you, I chose to say yes to you because of your marketing, because of your LinkedIn. You have a beautiful picture on your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn is nice and organized. You have a beautiful smile, and so even though we had never met, normally I'd have like stranger danger. Like I'm going to Bohemia and I'm going to be on this guy's podcast. I don't know this person, whatever. But it was because of that, because you were kind, the way that you engaged with me. I said, yes. I don't say yes to many people interviewing me, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get shy. Just between you and I, it's easier for me to hold the mic and be like, okay, so tell me about your life, right?
Right.
I like being the pitcher. Being the pitcher is a lot easier than being the batter sometimes,
Yeah,
right? Because you got to
for
like,
sure.
but I found comfort in your marketing of yourself that allowed me to say, okay, that is a quality person. They do quality work. I'm going to feel comfortable there. Right. Yeah. So thank you for making me feel comfortable. And thank you for inviting me. Because a lot of times I'll be like, I won't make the time to do it because I'm so focused on all the other things of running a television studio and running. I'm always running, right? But I've enjoyed spending time with you today, and I'm glad I said yes. But it really was because of your marketing. I said, oh, well, this is, I could read, a little bit about your background and the things that you did, and I was like, whoa, cool.
Yeah, I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. So I said yes. I'm glad I said yes.
That's good to know that it's working.
It's working. It worked.
Because,
it worked. You are your brand.
It's one of those things where, like, unless you get that feedback, you don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, I think you're doing a really good job. And I even said I love your
working.
logo because you and I both shared before the cameras were rolling that we're both graphic artists. That's how we started. I was like, ooh, I like that. I was like, did you make that? And you're like, yes, it's so cool. I just noticed, too, that the E is cool too. It's like 3 lines, but it's almost like a clapboard. I'm really impressed. It's good.
I appreciate that.
He's got a good logo. Okay, just saying.
No, and that was one of the things that's like, as a graphic designer, I have 2 different businesses. So I have the real estate media company that's Photographic Studios. And then this one, I was like, I want to keep kind of that same theme, but I can't have both of them under the same umbrella because they're so different from one another. Like, I wanted it to be like its own type of business, like it could stand on its own, as opposed to just being like another tab on my website of like, oh, we
do
have
this too.
podcast too. Yeah. And like that would kind of almost ruin the SEO of one website in order to do another website.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things, but I wanted to maintain like the studio's kind of like tagline, you know, so that way, no matter what it is, it's a studio type environment. So for me, it took me a little while to work on that one, but
Brilliant.
it was a really cool kind of process. And then like figuring out the right colors to make it work that are different from the other brand, but keeping it still within the same vein. You know?
I hear you. So my daughter Elise is an artist and a sculptor. She went to MICA. So the Donna Drake logo that I have now, it's actually her handwriting. It's her it's her font. Right.
great.
So we just decided to make, we just got merch for the first time on our new website. We just launched a new website. After 17 years, I have a new website and I love it.
exciting.
It's starting to function correctly. One of the things we did is we opened up merch. So I looked at the D's and I was like, well, this is nice that they're doing these mugs and it's just the whole logo, the Donna Drake logo. I said, I want something that's not just a splash. I also want a hush. Sometimes people want to buy a splash and sometimes they want a hush.
Yep.
So the hush we created is my favorite thing ever. I think that it's going to be something that people will actually wear. It's just Elise's D. I drew that backwards now to the audience, but anyway, it's just the D in like this circle and it's cool,
Yeah.
you know? And so my friend Harlan Friedman, who's been with me forever, he has his own show now called Soul Free. And, he's all into this, like in sneaker culture and logos and things like that. And he goes, I'd wear that hat. And then I knew I was onto something.
Yeah.
So you're right. So for me, how you have the studios, I have just my last name now so it's the Donna Drake Show. It's Drake Media Studios. Now it's just the subliminal D
Yeah.
in a circle. It looks so cool. I'm like, what is that? It looks like a power button, but it's artsy. And so now we're doing merch and people started ordering these mugs. And I was like, wow. I said, I think we're onto something. So who knows? Maybe I'll have my own clothing brand now, my own line of clothing. Who knows? But it's fun. I enjoy it. You can tell I love what I do, right?
Yeah,
I really do
absolutely.
love it.
It oozes out of you.
Okay. So it
You know,
really makes me
it's-
happy.
It's great. And that's what also will make somebody feel super comfortable sitting down talking with you, that like we were just saying before, that like you don't have to force it out of someone because
we're
they
just
can
chilling.
feel comfortable, relaxed.
I mean,
and-
like I'm even in my comfy clothes today, like, my Merrill shoes, my blue jeans, it's nice sometimes to just,
Mhm. And I've never tried to be like a fancier, like for me, my outfit when I go on photo shoots is just jeans. I have a hoodie and a hat. You know, like that's my uniform. And like, there's some photographers or people out there that always want to get dressed up. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'd rather be
Today's not a
comfortable.
tux.
Like,
But did you back in the day, or do you still ever do events or weddings where you have to do it like
No.
black tie? You don't do that ever. Okay. So on occasion, I will still need to go to a black tie, but I'm super excited because the woman that invented Spanx, her name is Sarah, and she also invented these new shoes called sneaks. It's half a sneaker and half a heel. So I'm like 5'1", right? And if I'm interviewing like Walt Chamberlain or something like that, I look like the Statue of Liberty sometimes, right? Because my arm's all the way up with my microphone. I did the whole 90s con the other day at Hartford, Connecticut, and I wore these shoes. I was so comfortable. It's like, it feels like a sneaker, but you're in a heel. I love my sneaks. I could buy like 10, 15 pairs. Like, they're the greatest shoe on earth. And people stop me. They're like, what are those? Now, granted, I had on like this white sweater with big, blue stars because I was trying to fit into the vibe. And I had on these like shoes that look like moon boots because they're like chromy silver looking things. But I believe that having your own personal style and just being comfortable in your own skin and your clothes is the best way to be.
Yeah.
I had fun.
When I have to get dressed up for certain things, it doesn't feel as comfortable.
Yeah.
Like every now and again, like you go to a certain event and like if you have something that feels comfortable, like that's good. But like I've gone to different events and like with real estate agents in particular, and like I've dressed up because I don't want to be the odd man out. And then I get there and I see other people that were like dressed down. And I'm like, I kind of wish I would have done that because that's more me.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the button down and shirt and tie and trying to like, but I also didn't want to stand out in terms of like being the only person that was just like hanging out in a hoodie during this event, and then it's standing out in the opposite way where everybody else is like dressed up and they're like, oh, this guy didn't even get dressed today, like.
I'm seeing you too, and I see your watch and everything, so I usually wear a watch too, but I don't have like an Apple Watch or anything yet, but somebody got me AirPods. So I'm working with somebody that has a product on QVC, and she hired me as their brand ambassador. It's a cleaning product. I absolutely love this stuff. It's called Pink Credible, and then there's Orange Credible, or long story short. But in order to make that work, when you're doing a remote, you wear these AirPods, right? I don't know what takes me so long. Sometimes I adopt technology fast. Like I was the first show to ever stream on Facebook, ever.
Wow.
So they, through Ridgeline Entertainment, they used to do Deadliest Catch. They sent the black box to the studio that wasn't too far from here. It was actually right around here. And so it was called Out of the Box at the time. And it was maybe 3 streets over from here. And Charlie Fertini was our guest. And so I was the first show to ever stream on Facebook. I'm not going to be Grace Hopper. I'm not going to be in any Wikipedia, guides for anything like that, probably, or history books, but it was cool. So sometimes I am an early adopter of technology, or even with Zoom and Vimeo, right? Because of COVID, I now can remote guest in.
Yeah.
I never had that technology before. It didn't exist. Nobody was using it in that way. So Elise, once again, I have 3 kids, Andrew, Elise, and Matthew. Elise made me a gigantic cell phone. So now when celebrities call in from Los Angeles, it looks like they're appearing on this gigantic cell phone. We're just using green screen technology. Did you see that? Isn't that cool?
That is really
it's just because sometimes someone from the team will say, oh, can we do this? Or Tom Mancini, who was the head of production for the United Nations, he now works at the studio. He's the director of operations. And he's like, oh, you need a NAS. I'm like, what's a NAS? And I was like, what do I need? It's a file sharing computer, right? So that the editors can have access to all these.
Like your own
so
personal
I will
server.
Listen to technology, but I'm not the girl that's going out buying like the new 8K cameras. I'm letting Ken do that. And but these AirPods, I was like, I put them on the first time this morning because I charged them up, and it says, do you want to do a hearing test? And I was like, ooh. I was like, I don't know, maybe. So I do enjoy it, but I'm so focused on running the business, what my clients need, what I need to do as a mom, or even as a friend, that I sometimes don't get to the point where that's cool. Like, how long have you had that Apple Watch?
I've had a few of them over the years.
Yes.
But for me, I used to work at Apple Retail.
Oh, okay. So I shouldn't feel so bad then.
No. You shouldn't feel bad at all.
I shouldn't be embarrassed because
Honestly,
I don't know.
It was basically like I was a PC kid my entire life. I built my own PCs, and then I went to college, and they gave me a MacBook Pro as like part of getting there. And I was like, oh. I'm like, this is really cool. I love it. And then I just went Apple everything, because especially at that time, Steve Jobs, it just works.
Yeah.
Everything connects to the next thing. And I was actually working in Apple Retail when we launched the first iPad.
Okay.
Like I was a part of the team.
Afterwards. You're going to help me get a little more tech savvy with stuff.
I was part of the team that actually put out the first iPads on display in the store. So we were like the overnight crew.
Wow.
And they actually had it all under lock and key with a security guard until 3 a.m. before we could even open the first box.
So cool.
So we had to like prep the entire store, and then we were kind of like sitting and waiting around for like 2 hours, and then it was like 3 a.m. and it was just like boom, go. And like we had to secure them, we had to update them, we had to do all these different things like just to get them out. And then the line in Smith Haven Mall was like down the whole mall.
That's so cool.
Like they snaked it, and even still it was like down towards the middle, like almost towards Macy's. So it was a really cool experience, but that put me on as like an Apple fanboy. I have iPads, I have MacBooks,
That's awesome.
I have
and it's good to know
everything.
too, because as a business owner, that's something like a unique differentiator that can help you also bring value to your customers and your clients, right? Because that's cool. And I mean, and that just came up in conversation, right? And I was like, oh, well, who do he's the it guy. He's an IT guy. He knows what's cool. He knows, like, okay, well, maybe use this app instead of that app, or maybe this is how this coordinates, and this is how you could figure out how many steps you're taking. And
I've been basically pseudo IT most of my life.
Oh my
Even though
goodness.
I was a graphic designer, they'd be like, hey, computer guy, can you do this? And you know what? Most of IT, 95% of the time, have you tried turning it off and back on again?
Yeah.
And like, they'd be like, no. And it's like, okay, well, let's start there. And then the issue corrects itself. And then it's like, all right, well, let me know if it happens again. Or it would always be like one of those things where like they'd be running into an issue and it would repeat and repeat and repeat. And as soon as I got up from my desk and stood in front of their computer, nothing. It was just like not there anymore. And they'd be like, okay, cool. Well, I'll call you if anything happens again. And it's the same thing happens to my wife. She's like not as technologically savvy, and like she's doing the same thing with her IT department at work. And like as soon as the guy gets up to her office, she's like, "So it's not doing it anymore.
Yeah,
so
it's better now.
I'll call you if it happens again."
I forgot to plug a light in yesterday. So we had a guest. She wants to do sales for me. So we're onboarding. We're growing, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm excited by it, but it's a lot. It's a lot, and I never realized how big this little thing was going to get, but it's bigger now and it can't just be me, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, this girl's coming in and she's doing a tour, and I wanted to put her behind a table in our green room area where we sometimes do podcast and vodcast. And so I wanted to just turn on the light so that I could take her picture. I said, hold on, let me turn on the light. Oh, I was like, oh, maybe the light bulb's burnt out. It wasn't plugged in. And everybody looked at me and they're like, I said, okay. I said, that wasn't my fault. I'm like, whoever moved that light was supposed to plug it back in, right? I was like,
definitely.
But anyway, this was really joyful. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming in.
So.
Do you want to give, one of the things that I've been doing lately with my podcast, just giving like a 30-second commercial talking about your podcast, how people can find you, and anybody that would be a good fit for your show.
Well, the show is now in 30 million homes. We're coast to coast. We're a nationally syndicated show, but we also do work with people locally. So I like to say it's a good solution for people that are local, regional, national, international. We're in 25 countries. It's good. There's a good value. I'm like, you come on for 6 minutes. What I do is I create a trifold brochure for people. So people used to have this brochure, and I do that for somebody in a conversation. It makes me extremely happy. I've seen major companies be born out of coming on my show, like Arbo's cheese spread. It was just like this guy, Andrew Argabast, who made a cheese dip. He was a veteran. He only hires veterans, and he came on my show. He had to pay in 2 installments. It was hard for him to come on, but I believed in him. Remember, I vetted him ahead of time. He ended up getting one of the 10 golden tickets for Walmart, and now his cheese dip is in every single Walmart from coast to coast, and that's life-changing for him, but also that story of being able to make a difference in someone's life in that way is what I'm all about. So if people are goobers like I am, and that type of stuff, that magic of life resonates with them, then they would be a good fit for my show. Because that's kind of what I like to do.
That's awesome.
So that's my 30 seconds of whatever.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. This was a phenomenal interview.
I had so much fun with you.
Thank you so much for coming.
I know. I'm so glad I said yes. And every time I look over, out of my peripheral vision, it still makes me think of that, that fish tank of where it all began for me, which was Technosonic. So you're awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. Okay. Bye. Cool.